Have you ever wondered what decentralization really means when it comes to crypto? And are you aware how important this concept is for your future? Everybody is screaming for decentralization in the crypto space. But as we learned in the last video, a blockchain has to be balanced between decentralization, security, and scalability. Bitcoin replaces centralized financial systems and incentivizes every investor to work for the greater good of the ecosystem. So let's have a look what Bitcoin was designed to change. A centralized system has this structure. As you can see, every connection goes through the single controlling central entity. For the communication between A and B, there is a need for a trusted dependency on the central entity with the goal of a controlled stability. A good example of a centralized organized system in our economy is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve System, or simply the Fed, is the central banking system of the United States of America. It was created on December 23, 1913, following the 1907 bankers' panic. It was established to provide stability by managing the monetary policy. The Fed has three main goals: deciding on the money supply, which does not mean that they print money themselves, as is often said, but they decide on how much money has to be printed by the Treasury Department. Second, keeping inflation between 2 to 3% for prices of goods to be stable. And lastly, to keep unemployment low, around 5%. The main idea definitely makes sense to have an organization thinking about how to act with all the knowledge and expertise backing the decision up. However, we are all humans, and in the interest of self-preservation, we take actions to benefit ourselves. You may find yourself thinking that the government, bank, or big corporation is not really following your idea of how you want the world to be. Do you fully trust banks, governments, or social media platforms in general? Let me know in the comment section. If we look at the Fed's decision regarding the money supply, the central bank decides if new money has to be printed. You cannot influence whether the money supply should be expanded or not. You might not know that every time the Treasury Department prints new money, it actually hurts your money in the bank account. Why? Because of the concept of supply and demand. Let's look at an easier example. Imagine you're the only one who has a teleportation machine. Yeah, that's cool. And it would give you a lot of power. You could sell it for many hundred millions of dollars, right? Let's say $500 million for this example. What would happen now if there were to be 200 teleportation machines built by other people? Do you think you could still sell your teleportation machine for 500 million? Probably not. With more supply of teleportation machines, the price will go down. You can see in the simplified example that your teleportation machine got devalued because there are more teleportation machines on the market. And it's the same with oil, food, cars, and all other goods we exchange in our economy, as well as currency. Back to the example of the Fed increasing the money supply, you can understand now that every time new money gets created, they call it quantitative easing or short QE, all the dollars in your bank get devalued because there is more supply of dollars in the economy. This means you can buy fewer goods for your dollars. Since we all have to play the money game, saving money, investing it, and exchanging it for goods, giving somebody the right to control it and make up the rules might not be the way for us to achieve freedom. Many of us trust the Fed or other central banks to work according to our beliefs and goals, but is trusting really the right way? And don't get me wrong, we need centralization for certain things to work efficiently. However, the problem is not the centralized system per se, but the concentration of power in the hands of a few people. For a reasonable time, the centralized banking system served the purpose. Back in 1913, the technology did not exist to decentralize our banking system and revolutionize the way we do transactions. But since 2009, with the creation of Bitcoin, a new era has started. So let's talk about decentralized systems like Bitcoin. A decentralized system infrastructure could look like this. There are various forms of decentralization. The most hyped form is the distributed ledger technology, DLT, which is the technological base for Bitcoin. Control and power are distributed in a decentralized system. This means there is no central entity controlling, but many different entities controlling the system. Therefore, it is less corruptible because decisions don't lie in the hands of one individual or group. In fact, everybody can take part in the decision-making process. Did you know that Bitcoin was born during the times of the financial crisis in 2008? This was a time when banks were saved by the Federal Reserve through quantitative easing, meaning that there was fresh currency printed and given to the banks in order to slow down the recession, which was the deepest recession since the World War II. Satoshi, the creator of Bitcoin, left an Easter egg, a hidden message, in Bitcoin's Genesis block, which is the first block of a blockchain, pointing to an article of the Times with the headline, "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." And by leaving this message for future adopters of Bitcoin, Satoshi made clear that Bitcoin was created to disrupt our financial system. You might ask yourself now, how can Bitcoin do that? How can a digital currency disrupt physical banks, banknotes, financial institutions? It all comes back to the simple phrase, which is well known in the crypto space. Don't trust, verify. For a user, this means that you don't have to trust a third party when sending money because you directly interact with the money system. And since Bitcoin is a public blockchain, as we learned in the last video, everybody has the possibility to check on every transaction. Obviously, your name will not appear on the blockchain, but your digital wallet name will. To make it easier, just think about the transaction you do with your bank. Instead of providing the name, the international bank account number, and BIC, in crypto, you mostly just need the recipient's wallet ID, which is usually between 32 and 34 characters long. Once you send the transaction, you can directly verify if the transaction has been processed. As long as you send the Bitcoin to the right address, you can verify that the Bitcoin has arrived on the recipient's wallet. Therefore, there is no bank in the middle that might block your transaction or ask questions regarding the reference. If you want to get your head around Bitcoin's blockchain and see the latest transactions, visit the website btc.com. By the way, BTC is the ticker for Bitcoin. I will link the website down below in the comment section. To sum it up, decentralization is not a remedy for every problem we have in our world, but it is more like a tool we can use to shape our society. A society where we don't have to trust third parties, but we verify and create ourselves. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. I'm sure you have at least one friend who still doesn't know what decentralization means. Peace and love.